This is some of the most beautiful countryside in Britain. I may be biased because down in the valley there is where we live. It's difficult to imagine that millions of years ago, all of this, including most of Europe, was underwater. The only way you can really tell that is if you look at the rocks that occur right beneath us here. You look at some of those and you'll see in them are all sorts of marine fossils. These are 200 million years old, evidence of the fact that this was all covered in water. Let me show you one other. If you look at this tiny little shell here, a Pleuritomaria, a slit shell. These shells are 200 million years old and they still live in the ocean today. Why don't you come with me and I'll show you some of the evidence and the excitement of this continuity of life. Come on in. Come in. Let me show you around my little museum. What you see here are a collection of fossils that represent life on Earth over the last 500 million years. For example, over here we have a marine reptile, a small ichthyosaur, that lived in the ocean around here 200 million years ago. And now, as we look across the back wall of the museum, you can see a collection of fossils that evolved in the ocean from the Cambrian 500 million years ago and right through the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. And many lived right until the mass extinction 66 million years ago that killed off the dinosaurs on land and much life in the ocean. Of course, a major extinction like that did not kill off all life. For example, these modern Nautilus shells are from animals that live in the ocean today, and they are no different to their fossil ancestors from the Jurassic almost 200 million years ago. In front of me are a collection of dinosaur eggs. The dinosaurs, of course, are the epitome of extinction. When anyone says mass extinction, dinosaurs are the first thing that comes to mind. To the right of these dinosaur eggs, you see some examples of very large modern birds' eggs. And the link between them is obvious to us now. The dinosaurs didn't die out. The small, agile, feathered dinosaurs in fact survived and evolved magnificently into the birds of today. A wonderful example of the continuity of life. In a world that is so obsessed with extinction and by climate change, it may seem strange for me to be talking about the continuity of life. It was in fact the Nautilus that inspired the start of this journey. As you know, the Nautilus still lives in the deep oceans today, but it's been around for more than 500 million years. And almost every year we are still discovering new species that have evolved recently. And it's not just the Nautilus. Look on any rich coral reef, and you may as well be diving on a Jurassic reef. Look at sponges in the deep ocean or in rock pools. Look at brittle stars, either on a coral reef or embedded in 200 million year old rocks. You really cannot tell the difference between living sea urchins and sea stars and their fossil relatives embedded in cliffs above the beach. And then there are the mollusks, amongst the first animals to make hard parts, and some of those living in the oceans today are absolutely indistinguishable from their fossil ancestors. And let's not forget the fish. They were amongst the very first vertebrates, and they occupy the oceans today in such vast profusion and incredible diversity. They've been around for more than 400 million years, while the jellyfish shown on the cover of the book might have been around for 750 million years. And this amazing continuity of life is reflected in one of the charts in the book. Let's take a closer look at it. At one level, it shows how life evolved on the ocean floor and then moved up into the water column and eventually onto land. At another level, this chart shows all those animal groups that are alive today. And it's clear to see their ancestral lines go back many hundreds of millions of years. And that continuity is what we're celebrating in this book. What we have to remember is that we humans arrived on this planet very recently. Our presence here represents no more than just 1 second in a 24-hour clock, and we've enjoyed probably the most benign climate the planet has ever known. If you look back over the last 500 million years, this is what our climate has done. And don't forget that just 30,000 years ago, all of this was covered in 3 kilometers of ice. Now that's serious climate change. In fact, we've become one of the most endangered and fragile species on the planet. Our dependence on water is just one example. If you took all of the world's water and bunched it up into a little ball, this is the size it would be. And that's certainly worth protecting. But at the same time, we should never forget to celebrate the amazing continuity of life that's all around us.